Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Anderson.
What's up, guys? Christian here.
And you're about to enter
111.
111. What?
Woo!
No way. This is so cool. Shout out to Matt. We got Matt's energy in the house. All right. So, what are we talking about? Ooh.
Ooh, spooky, because today's episode is
Can
on...
you close that door for me? I don't like that I'm seeing stuff out of the corner of my eyes.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Un momento, everybody. Baby's crying, and I've never heard a baby cry over here.
That was a cat.
Oh, meow.
That sounded like a cat.
All right, so what is on the agenda this evening?
So for tonight, we have a good one for you guys. We're going to talk about ghosts, the paranormal.
Paranormal experiences?
Paranormal activity.
Oh, man, there's like 6 of episodes. It's like a TV show now. It's like a reality TV show.
Basically.
Low budget.
Series ever.
Making tons of money. Why didn't we release a paranormal?
We still can, man.
Nah, I'm good. I don't want to mess with the paranormal,
Nah,
especially
me
when
either.
making a film. I don't even really want to talk about this topic
It's a
just
fun
because it's a fun topic to talk about. And mind you, we did a prayer before we yes.
We had to bless 111. Only good vibes here.
We had to shield this amazing space.
Yeah, definitely. But it's a fun topic to talk about because I think we've all experienced some type of little paranormal in our life. And we kind of just wanted to go over, ghosts in general, the difference between ghosts, spirits, because, it's not all bad energy.
No.
Past loved ones who, could still be watching over us.
Yeah. No, I think the fun part about telling ghost stories is like, campfire tales and
Are You Afraid of the Dark?
oh, the best.
That was my shit.
That's a throwback. I love
Dude.
that show. And it was so scary back then.
Oh, yeah.
And I do recall
I love the intro.
yeah, the intro was so cool. Do you guys remember that?
I can hear it now, like the swing,
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, man. It was
and
so
then
much
show like
fun.
that little dummy, the doll, right?
Yeah.
Nah,
I'm a 90s kid. Love it.
ghost stories are interesting, whether you believe in them or not. I have been around people who have been complete non-believers, and then all of a sudden they're like, they can't answer for the uncanny
You can't explain
experiences
everything.
that they went through. So, do you believe in ghosts?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely believe in ghosts. I haven't had a ton of experiences. I mean, I've had some, but those feelings that you get, like when you just feel something's off, like the hair on the back of your neck stands up or on your arms, goosebumps. You just get this like eerie feeling, and more often than not, my mind will take it to like, oh, it must be a ghost, right? But like, I'm trying to
Be skeptic.
yeah, because I don't want to freak myself out. I don't want to be in that headspace.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I still do believe in ghosts.
You do?
Yeah.
Like, I think when you're alone and you're by yourself and then that thought creeps into your headspace, I feel that your more heightened awareness kind of picks up, like things that you typically would bypass or tune out, like hearing like the metal piping or like the refrigeration, like water kick on, and it's so quiet because you're more attentive, and all of a sudden you're like, no, somebody's I think somebody's like here, or I feel a presence. But it could just also be your head and your heightened activity, right? But I've seen with my own eyes a ghost. true.
You saw a ghost, Anderson.
I've
Please
seen,
explain.
I've seen, I've seen, I mean, if it wasn't that profound, it would have been erased from my memory, but I literally am seeing that apparition like being right now in my headspace. And yeah, it's let's just like go real quick because it's a long story and I tell it all the time, and now I'm sharing it with the world. Okay, so my cousins Kayma and Farah and their brother Farron, they their family moved to Fresno from the Bay Area, and they had always had like weird ghostly or paranormal experiences, even at their home in San Jose.
Okay.
Right? And their house back in San Jose, it was pretty creepy. I mean, before I get into that, when I saw a ghost, let me just go into some of the weird things that happened in that house. So as kids, we always loved playing hide and go seek in that house just because it was a 2-story house and it had a bunch of like center rooms, or like where you would have to go around things to get to like the living room, to get to the kitchen. So it was always like awesome to play hide and go seek it, right? But you always felt like somebody was also playing with you, right?
Okay.
I don't recall any ghostly things happening when I was there growing up, but my Uncle Farron, I remember specifically he had a boombox in his bedroom. You know, one that would either run on batteries or plug in the wall. I think it was just a plug in the wall one, because I don't think, why would you buy batteries back then?
Yeah.
You know, for your boombox if you're going to play it in your room. So he goes upstairs to his room because he hears like as if somebody was in there, and he was like, no. And he's sitting in there in his bedroom, and all of a sudden he looks at his boombox because he all of a sudden hears like the tape deck going off. It's just like, and you know, the cassette starts rolling. And he's like,
cassettes.
Yeah, and he looks at it and he goes, let me go pull the power plug. Maybe it's just some kind of electric frequency. Pulls the plug and it stops. And as he's walking back downstairs to go get dinner, it goes back, clicks.
No, it does not.
It clicks back on, and it's not even the music that's...
It does not.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys feel creeped out by like warbling cassette playback or like record players, but that just, I don't know why it's so eerie, but the playback,
it's an inaudible tone.
Yeah, but
your brain's like can't decipher this.
Yeah, so he heard like a warbling, like right, and he was like, I don't know if he went back to try to check it.
I wouldn't have.
So he just he went downstairs, and after that he was kind of freaked out. But it was a lot of like weird stuff like that, right? Yeah. So then they moved to Fresno. And I'm like, cool, you know, like now I don't have to wait until I come visit in the Bay Area to see them. They are in a home, like maybe a mile and a half from where we live. Yeah. And again, 2-story house, awesome house, brand new house. And man, let me tell you, we had just got like this wave of chills over my right, because that house, I still dream about that house. And every time I dream about that house, it always involves ghosts. And I don't know if it's just like imprinted on like, you know, my experience having seen things there, that I still carry it and I'm still trapped in that house. But my brother still dreams of that house. And my brother, he's like, I don't know what it is about that house, because he was really young. And they moved out when my brother was probably like 14 maybe. But for the most part, he like still recalls like a lot of really weird experiences in that home. We played hide and go seek as kids there, and it was the 4 of us. It was myself, my cousin Farah, Kayma, and my uncle David. And it was just 4 of us. Everybody else was out of the house. Okay. And we said, no hiding upstairs. No hiding upstairs. Okay, make sure all the doors are closed. We're only playing first level game, right? That was the house rule. We're only hiding downstairs. Nobody hides upstairs. Yeah. So we play a few rounds, 5 or 6 rounds. And I remember I ran, my cousin Farah was it. She's the oldest one. And she's like, all right, guys, let's make it a little bit harder. It's too easy to find you guys. Okay, whatever. You're the oldest one. I was like 9. So she starts counting down, and My Uncle David runs into the laundry room. He hides behind a door. Because I only know that because I ran following him because I always tried to like do what he did. Yeah, because I couldn't think of like and my own.
Like, no, find your own spot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So then I go into the closet under the staircase. Okay. And my cousin Kama was already in there. And she's like, get out of here. I'm already here. I'm like, no, she's about to go like hunt. Yeah. And she's like, oh gosh, Anderson, like, really? So then my cousin Farrah's like, ready or not, here I come. And we hear her walking up the stairs because she's like, she's like, Anderson? Anderson. As if she sees me upstairs. Okay. And she said, we could hear her. And we're like, why is she going upstairs? Yeah. She starts walking upstairs. And when she gets to like maybe 4 steps before the bedrooms, okay, the door goes, oh, right? No. And she said she saw me crawling underneath the bed. Shut up, Anderson. And she was like, Anderson, I said you can't hide up here. I said you can't hide up here. And she said, like, when she looked, she saw the head, like the back of the head, not my face, the back of the head sit up from under the bed. No. Like having crawled across the bed and standing up like that. My God. You see that? Like yes. It just goes like that and it just slowly like this eerie movement popping up. Okay. My whole right is cold. And she freaks out and we hear boom, 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 boom. Ah! Like she's like full blown screaming at the top of her lungs, running downstairs. And she's like, guys, stop. This is not funny. Come out. Come out. We all come out. And then she sees myself and her sister come out of the closet, and she's like...
Wait, so when I'm sorry not to cut you off, but when she saw the back of the head come up, she still thought it was you and she got freaked out, or she knew it wasn't you?
No, she knew it wasn't me. Okay. She just said, like, it did not... there's no way that... She's like...
That's so creepy.
I was a chubby kid. She's like, there's no way you're going to squeeze yourself through that underneath that bed and then pop out, right? Yeah. And... She came hauling down those stairs. Oh, and then we hid at the very end corner next to the kitchen looking upstairs because we were so scared.
Where were the adults at this time?
So we thought, okay, so when we came out, when she was screaming for us to come out, we all came out and she's like, guys, she's like, how are you? I saw you hiding up there. And then Kim was like, what? He was in the same hiding spot as me. Yeah. And she's like, no, I saw him. I saw your head. She's like, it was a ghost. It was a ghost, right? So then we're like, maybe Farrah's just like, maybe she saw something. Yeah. But the door was open. Okay. I remember the door was propped open. Yeah. So I was like, we were so scared at that point. And I remember we were sitting in the dining room next to the kitchen, just like in the corner and just like staring in that space. And we're like, we got so scared we went outside. And when we went outside, we all of a sudden heard like an old carriage with a horse.
What?
Yeah, as if it was like in the old times. And it was just like rolling. It sounded like it was rolling right past us. Mm-hmm. And we were like, why is there like horse footsteps and like a carriage going? It sounds like it's on the other side of the wall. Dude, there was cars. There's no way there's a horse that could go... you know what I mean? It was a neighborhood.
Yeah. Again, where were the adults during this hide and seek event?
They were all working. Oh. So they called their parents. They called their brother. Yeah. And they're like, hey, are you messing with us? Are you home? Or like, not home, but are you like able... Because we were like kids. We're like, maybe Farron has like cameras and he's just playing this ultimate trick on us. Yeah. But no. Like, nobody could explain it.
So
and
creepy.
That house had, if you ask my cousins, they have had so many very creepy. Like,
do they still live there?
Oh no.
Oh okay.
Oh, they got rid of it. They got rid of it a long time ago. So that was when we were kids, right? And I don't recall ever experiencing like anything that intense again until I was about 15. And when I was 15, that's when I saw, with my own eyes, my very first ghost in that house.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
So weird.
But you know what? During high school, like junior high and high school, for some odd reason, my cousins, the same too, were playing with the Ouija board.
That's where it starts, guys.
Did you ever play with the Ouija board?
Yes, unfortunately. But, like, I was a kid, like, stuff like that. I mean, like I told you, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but, like, horror films are, like, my thing. I love horror films. So, like, scary things have just been my thing. Even though I'm, like, such a scaredy cat. Like, don't let me watch a horror film and then, like, go turn off lights because I won't do it.
Yeah.
But like, so as a kid, I was fascinated by like anything like ooh, creepy, right? So like, I was like, yeah, let's play with the Ouija board. And I convinced my mom to play with me, and like I believe my sister may have played with us like once, but she was very much like no, because she had her own Ouija board experiences. Because me and my sister are about like 8-9 years apart, and you know when she was like in her teens, I was like a baby, and I obviously wasn't playing with the Ouija board at that time, but like she had her own experiences with her friends that were like odd and like, oh, just, you know, I think like this one time I do remember her being upset because me and my mom and my grandparents had gone to go play bingo, and she left my sister and her friend hanging out at the house, and she was like, the only way that you guys can stay back is if you clean the house. So they agreed to clean the house. And they had played with the Ouija board either that night or prior to the night. But I remember being with my mom when my mom got the phone call for us to come home because they had just cleaned a room. And when they went back into the room, there's crap everywhere. Like, yeah. So she had a couple of those experiences, and she was like, I don't want to play with it anymore. Like, she was done with it. And then I got older, and then I got more curious about it. And I was like, why would I play? Because, you know, stupid kids. And
so dumb, so naive.
I remember this one time that we were playing with the Ouija board. And at that time, we had bought, like, this glow-in-the-dark Ouija board. So, like, we would turn the lights off, and, like, the Ouija board would glow in the dark. And I think it was me and my mom and maybe a friend of mine. I don't remember. But my sister, like I said, she was like, nope, not for me. But she had come home. She was older. She had come home, and we were in a bedroom, and oh God, I remember she said that when she opened the door, she saw like a shadow like hovering over us. And I remember the look on her face. She was just like, she opened the door and she was like, just like stared at us. And then she quickly closed the door, and it freaked us out. We were like, oh my God, what? Like, why? Like, because she looked freaked out. And sure enough, we went to go talk to her, and she was like, I saw something hovering over you guys. Like, I'm not even kidding. Why are you playing with the Ouija board? And we were like, no, you didn't. Like, it was probably the lighting. She's like, no, I saw something. Like, she was certain that she saw something. So, yeah, and like my childhood home also, like I can totally relate to you on that, because my childhood home, I felt did have some negative entities attached to it, because like we would have family members that would like stay over, and like they would talk about like somebody touched their feet, or like they felt something as they would sleep in the living room, or like covers move.
That is scary.
I felt like someone sat on my bed one time, like nobody was in my room, you know, and I felt like the push
pressure.
down, yeah, and I was like, oh no, like we're not doing this, and I got up and I went to my mom's room, but and I did have, it's funny that you said a boombox experience, because I did have a boombox experience one time too. But that could have been, I mean,
frequency or electronics.
It's electronics, right? So it's not reliable. So like, but I remember I had one with a remote control, and it was a nice little like 3-piece setup. And I had it like on my desk across the room at the very top. And with my remote control, like I would like control the volume and stuff. And I remember I was in my room chilling. I was packing for like, I think we were going to go on a little trip. And I remember like looking at the control. I wasn't anywhere near it. And then the volume on my boombox just went like sky high. No. And I'm looking at the control and I'm like, who's doing this? You know, but I mean that you can't really, maybe it was like a little faulty, you know,
yeah.
But no, we had a ton of weird stuff happen in my childhood. And oddly enough, Anderson, I still dream about my childhood home all the time. And there's usually some kind of a ghost or like weird, like, it's sometimes demonic spirit or presence attached to stuff that happens in my childhood home. I'm not going to say every time I dream about my childhood home.
Yeah.
But oftentimes I will. And it's weird.
Yeah, so it's weird because I don't even think that it's anything having to be scary anymore when it's in that home. It feels like it's just like a bridge where like I've seen my grandmother come to visit me in that house. That's not my home.
Yeah.
That's my cousin's home. But I just feel like there's like, it had so much like paranormal like energy there.
Was it built over an Indian burial ground?
You never know. I mean,
That's the 80s. Everything in the 80s was Indian burial ground.
Yeah. So, that house, my cousins, they've had instances where, when they were younger, they would go downstairs sometimes and they'd sleep on their parents' bed. And so them coming from San Jose or the Bay Area, they would always like experience earthquakes where like the house would shake or there'd be rumbling. Yeah, they experienced like the bed like shaking like uncontrollably. And my cousin came as like, she woke up from a nap and she was panicking and she was like, "Oh my God, there's an earthquake." Right? And the whole bed was like just shaken, like complete, like almost like levitating. She jumps off the bed, she runs out and she's screaming, "Guys, there's an earthquake, there's an earthquake." And her brother comes out and he's like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "There's an earthquake, the bed was shaking." He's like,
Is she the same one who saw the ghost in the room?
No, that was
different.
Farrah.
Oh, okay.
So it makes it even more like,
Yeah.
what? And her brother was like, "I'm doing an art project. There's no earthquake, or else I would have messed up my drawing or my sketch." And they were like, "That's really weird, So my Uncle Farron has told me, and this is prior to, no, this isn't prior to, this is after the fact. After I saw the ghost in their house, he goes, I remember he asked me, he's like, "Dude, why do you keep looking to the side?" And I'm like, "I don't know. It feels like there's somebody standing over there." And he's like, "Yeah, there's somebody that lives here."
What?
Yeah, he goes,
What?
"The faucets will go on. You'll hear them walking upstairs." And I'm like,
Oh.
"Is there sure it's not a squatter?" Because, there's stories like that.
Oh my God, those creep me out. I think those are even creepier than like
that
ghost
there's
stories.
a person living there.
An actual person living in your house. I've seen that too many times. I'm like, how does this keep happening?
No, he said it was paranormal. He said for a fact, he's like, the faucets would go off and he'd be like, he'd just look at the water and be like, "Turn that on." Oh. And he said it was he's like, there's a lady, that spirit just roams in that house. And I was like, "What? That's really weird." So
did your Uncle Farron live in that house?
Yeah, he lived in there for a long time. Even after his parents moved out, they still live there.
Oh, okay.
After this experience, Christian, I never stayed the night ever again.
I don't blame you. Neither would I. I'd be like, no.
Yeah,
See you at Christmas.
I believe I was 15 or 16, but I never stayed there ever again.
Yeah.
Just because it was terrifying. I wasn't expecting to see that. And then when I did see what I saw...
So what did you see?
So, in that house, that Omaha house... I'll just say that's the street name. I won't tell you the number because people still live there.
Okay.
We were watching. It was myself, my Uncle David, and my Uncle Farron. And earlier in the evening, his parents made like orange chicken. I remember growing up, they typically didn't make foods like that. It was always just like certain dishes, like your common Asian dishes. But we never got that, and that was more Americanized. Okay. And everyone was like, "Oh, this is so good," et cetera, right? So then we put on some movies, and his sisters, my cousins Farrah and Kama, they go to bed because at the time they worked at a donut shop, so they'd have to be up at 4 a.m. to go run the shop. So my uncle was like, I know it sounds weird, right, that I call him my uncle, but his sisters my cousins.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. There's tons of families that do that. Yeah,
it's weird, but. Anyways, we were watching, I think Return to Paradise.
Okay.
It's a movie with Vince Vaughn, Anne Hesh. You remember Anne Hesh?
No.
No. And it was about how like these foreigners from the U.S. went to Thailand and they got framed for smuggling drugs, and then they, if you get caught, I don't want to explain that movie, but let's just say when we were done watching that film, the intermission, it was like 12:30 in the morning, and I remember I got up, we took a break, we turned on the lights, I went into the kitchen, right, and I went to eat some of that orange chicken, and I was like, and before that, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. Before that happened, the way I was sitting here, the TV's there, right?
Okay.
And then the rest of the couch rounds to my right. And so my Uncle Farron is sitting to the right.
Okay.
And then there's a hallway, like, behind him. Not a hallway, but like a dining room, and then that's it.
Okay.
But I just kept turning my head like this because it looked like there was something catching my attention from the side of my eye. Out of your peripheral, sometimes you see, like, shadows or whatever, right? He stops and he goes, "Do you see something?" I was like, "I don't know. It seems like..." And that movie wasn't anything to do with ghosts.
Yeah.
And he's like, "It's probably the ghost. There's a ghost that lives here." And that's when he told me, like, there's a ghost that lives there. And I'm like, I don't know why you told me that. I don't know if that was what kind of, like, ignited the,
Why would you tell me
that?
Yeah.
So anyways, let's get back to when the movie finished and I was in the kitchen grabbing some of the orange chicken. And my Uncle Farron, he's still sitting in that spot. We're putting on another film. I forget what I think my Uncle David was in the kitchen with me, and he grabbed some, and then he went first.
Okay.
I was the last one because, I loved food. I still love food. And I was stuffing my face, and I was walking back, and on the second staircase, not staircase, but the second story, there's a balcony that you can look at, and then you can see all the way into my cousin Kama's room, like the side of it, and then the bathroom.
Okay.
The bathroom has 2 entrances, right? One entrance leads to the main hall, and that's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
When I'm walking out, something catches my eye, and I do this. And then I look, and I do that, because there was somebody standing in that bathroom. Half their body was, like, exposed, right?
Oh.
And they were, like, kind of, like, leaning like this, like, covering half their face, but leaning out, looking down at me.
Oh, my God.
Right?
No.
And the reason why I do this is because I was trying to see if it was my cousin.
Okay.
Because I was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "What are you doing, Kama?"
Because you're supposed to be
Farrah?
asleep right now.
You're supposed to be asleep.
Yeah.
And no answer, and I kept looking, and it was a lady in a white gown, like a sleep gown.
Why are they always in white gowns?
I don't know.
Why are they always in white gowns?
Maybe it's like maybe the lady passed away in her sleep.
In a white gown.
And she doesn't realize
she wasn't wearing a floral gown or like a fucking
But that's the thing. Maybe she doesn't
like...
know she's dead.
Okay.
And maybe that's the last thing she wore, right?
Right.
But it scared me so bad, Christian. I didn't even walk forward. I did from this down to my knees crawling.
What?
Like this.
Why?
Because I was so scared. I did not want to have to keep looking. So I kind of like cowered and crawled underneath.
Oh,
and I was so spooked. I was so spooked. And I was like, Farron, I think I saw that lady. I think I saw that ghost.
And what did he say?
And he's like, yeah. Was she wearing white? I was like,
shut up. Had he seen her before?
I think so. I think he'd see it. Yeah, it's a lady in a white gown that's kind of like
Dude, if I was Perrin, I would be like, all right, everybody go in pairs. Like, you want to go to the kitchen?
No, you know
go
what
in
we
pairs.
Did? We ended up watching another movie with all the lights off, and I could not stop fidgeting.
My face right now? If I could explain my face, I'm just so lost. What? With the lights off? After you saw a ghost in the house? I would have turned on every single light in that house. Every single light.
We go at the end of the film.
Did you have to spend the night that night?
We had to spend the night.
No. Mom, come pick me up, please. I'm ready to go home.
So by the time we go upstairs, the movie finished, and it was like 4 a.m.
Oh,
right?
What?
Yeah. It was because I remember when we finished.
I guess you can't go to sleep after something like that.
My cousin Kama they had to wake up because they had to
Yeah.
go work
Okay,
at the
that
shop.
makes sense.
So we go upstairs, and I'm standing in that hallway
Okay.
where I just saw that thing
Yeah.
because I don't know what it was. I was like, how did something like that happen? And when I saw my cousin Kayma come out of her bedroom to go get ready, she was wearing shorts and a t-shirt.
Yeah, not
same with Farrah.
a white gown.
No, they were not wearing any old lady white gowns. So all I remember is my cousin went to go shower, and then I stood in that hallway up against the wall, and David was next to me. And I don't know what we were waiting on, but we were standing there, and when my cousin opened the door to come out, before she turned the light off and she opened the door, before she stepped out, I saw just a leg come out of that room, come out of the bathroom. Like half of the body was missing. All I saw was the leg step out. Oh. And I was like...
That same night?
That same morning.
Same morning.
And I was so scared. They went to work, and I tried to tell them, and they were just so annoyed with me because they're like, dude, go to sleep. That's all they could tell me.
Who stayed behind in the house when everybody went to work? Just you and David?
Yes.
That's it?
No. I think... I forgot what Farron did because I stayed in Farron's room.
Okay.
And David went to sleep in Kayma's room.
Why didn't y'all stay in the same room?
Because David wasn't scared. He didn't see any of it. It was just me. So I was thinking, like, but is it just me?
If it were like me and my cousin, I'd be just as freaked out if my cousin said I just saw a ghost twice.
So what ended up happening was I stayed awake in my Uncle Farron's bedroom the rest of the morning. I don't blame you. It was like 9 a.m. My eyes were burning and heavy, and I was like... And then
sleep paralysis kicks in.
No, I didn't even sit. I didn't lay down on a bed. I sat in a chair like this, watching TV with all the lights on. Until the sunlight
else
came
ever happen?
No, and I was so scared. And when my grandfather came to pick us up, I was like, I'm never staying there ever
Was this
again.
the same house where your other cousin saw the person under the bed?
Yes. This is the same place.
Dude, why are you still going back to that house after that would have happened? But like, no, I don't visit my cousins anymore.
It was so long ago. That's why. Yeah. And even in that house, when my brother was a brat growing up. He was a really bad kid.
No way, not Jimmy.
Yeah, he had very short attention. Chill. He was ADD. He always needed attention, right? Always hyper. So one day when we were all at the house, it was myself, Kayma, Farrah, and my brother Jimmy. And Jimmy, I think, was like, he was probably 8 or 9. And I remember we couldn't get him to do something. So I said to him, I go, oh, you better behave, man, because this house, there's ghosts here. And he's like, no, there's not. I was like, yeah, there is. And Farrah and Kayma would play along. I'd be like, isn't there a ghost here, guys? And he's like, yeah, it's really scary. And my brother was like, no, you guys are just trying to scare me. And I was like, you know what? His name is Timmy. I don't know why. I don't know where that name came from.
Rhymes with Jimmy.
Yeah. So I was like, no, Timmy lives here. And my brother was like, that's not scary, right? And I go, you better do whatever it was. I forget what it was. You better behave, or Timmy's gonna get you. We're downstairs in like the little dining room, and upstairs, nobody was upstairs. When I said that, like the second time, I was like, Jimmy, you better behave because he's gonna get you. The door upstairs slammed so hard. Oh. So hard that my brother was like sat upright and was like, okay. And my cousin Farrah and Kayma looked at me and they were like, what was that? Like, yeah. That was not a part of our thing. Yeah. And I just played along with it. I was like, no, see, I'm telling you. But I was like, oh my God. Like I was freaked out that happened.
Just to get Jimmy to behave.
We go check upstairs. No windows open. Nothing.
Nobody was upstairs.
Nobody was upstairs.
Ooh.
The door slammed like somebody was upset.
Yeah.
Like angry.
Yeah.
Full force. Boom. And because it scared all of us. Really.
The ghost was playing along. They were like, "We'll freak him out if you want to, but you might get scared too." So
No, seriously, it was really that house had a lot of very strange and paranormal type things, and that was the first time I'd ever seen anything with my own eyes. That was like more of like an apparition, like a figure.
Yeah.
because I've never seen anything else like that, where it was like a full-on figure, white gown, you know, and it scared the heck out of me.
I don't blame you.
And I never stayed in that house. The next time I went to that house, and I was supposed to stay in that house, I think I was already in college, and I still didn't want to stay in that house. I stayed awake. with my friend Tim, my cousin's husband.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, "You don't want to stay the night here?" I was like, "I can't."
Pass.
I was like, "I can't. I'm serious." You know, and I never stayed the night there. We left the house and we went like to hang out somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what made the family move out?
They just found another home that was bigger.
Not like the paranormal experiences.
No. Oh, but the funny thing is, so I'm thinking my cousin Farah, I don't know, she always has like, she's like somehow attracts or like has like a heightened sense for spirits or ghosts.
Okay.
Because she would always see something. It was always her seeing something, and nobody else would ever experience it. Mm-hmm. But when that movie Paranormal Activity came out, I told her, I was like, Farah, this movie is so scary. I couldn't sleep for like 3 nights. Oosh. Not straight, but like I'd have trouble sleeping.
Okay.
Because I'd always wake up at like really weird times in the middle of the night thinking about that film. And I was like, I don't know, this movie is too scary. She was like watching it by herself one day, and I was like, why are you watching that by yourself? She got a bootleg copy of it. She didn't watch it in theaters. She got a bootleg copy of Paranormal Activity. She sat in the new house now, not the old haunted house.
Okay, thank God.
A new house.
Say, like, what are you doing?
She puts this movie on.
Okay.
And she has like shutter blinds behind her to lead into the patio, into the backyard. She's watching it, and it starts to pick up, and it gets to a really scary point where, like, I think they had put the salt in front of their door.
I hate that scene.
I know. And she said, out of nowhere, she's sitting in her house watching this in the daytime. Out of nowhere, the shutter blinds, just go.
All of them?
All of them, as if somebody took their hand and did that. And she texts, and she's like, oh my God, she texted me. I recall her texting me going, this movie has something going on, because I literally just experienced the scariest thing ever. Like the shutters behind me, just like somebody had walked across them and like put their hand and just like
drove
their hand.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And we were all like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, right? You know what it was?
What was it?
It was a freaking a mouse that ran.
Okay,
It just happened to be at that same moment.
Yeah.
While she's alone watching it, this mouse cuts across that dang shutter. It was so funny when we later found out, and we found out because I think either her dad or her brother caught a mouse running around that house.
That's hilarious.
And it did that again, that same thing.
It's what you said. It's your heightened senses, especially when you're watching that.
And you're watching that kind of stuff. You're like already on high alert, you know.
Exactly.
So, but my Uncle Farron, that same year, or not that year, but that time, he went and bought an older home, and this house was definitely haunted. It was so scary, Christian. I mean, the hallways, it looked like an old, like a convalescent home, kind of, where old people would go retire, because like it just felt like a weird like house or like hospital almost, but not a hospital. But it's because the hallways were so long.
Okay.
Right. And then the main master bedroom, the bathroom, like you walked down into it. It was weird. It was just a weird. The feng shui was very eerie, and I remember you know, like you have like your sixth sense. Excuse me. Sometimes you pick up things that others might not. I always got that vibe. Anytime I walked in that house, I was like, not a good place.
High alert.
Yes, high alert, not a good place. Especially next to the laundromat that led to the swimming pool outside. Okay. For some reason, there's a little room there. It always had a very negative energy. Like it just felt so saddening.
Yeah.
Like you just felt so like.
Did you ever get like a history on the house? Like.
I don't recall. But I know he said that he had experienced some really weird things happen there.
Mm-hmm.
We shot a short film in there called The Witching Hour. And mind you, this is like
Why?
I don't know.
Why?
We got the brilliant idea because Paranormal Activity was out.
Yeah.
And we saw how much money it made and how simple it looked to make.
But if it was already a haunted house, Anderson, see, you guys are doing this to yourself. I'd have no pity for you.
So we made this movie, right? We made this
Yeah.
short film. It was for fun. It wasn't like professional or
Okay.
anything. But I could never edit it. Like the footage would have like some kind of like discrepancy trying to like load up.
Oh.
And they were all filmed on tapes.
Yeah.
And my cousins were like, "How come you can't edit that?" I was like,
Yeah.
"I don't know." And I tried many a times and I just couldn't convert those tapes.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was
Eerie.
yeah, we basically were unlocking the
Yeah.
whatever was in that place to be more active.
That reminds me of that documentary. I forgot what it was called. I have to Google it. But the documentary where they're talking about like a bunch of horror films that had like a bunch of bad luck tied to it. Do you remember that documentary?
Yes.
It came out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I watched it. It was really good. But like they reference films like The Exorcist, The Omen, The Crow.
Oh,
just
yeah,
a bunch of like bad luck.
And I think it's also when they were filming that, they probably didn't bless the set.
Yeah.
They probably didn't like do these things like the whole Conjuring series. They have priests, high level priests that come on set and they bless it before they even start filming.
Yeah.
And even during filming. And the reason why they do that is because they said it in this little documentary I watched. That's the only reason why I know. They were like, we have to do these precautionary steps whenever we film something like this because the metaphysical world, the spiritual realm, doesn't know the difference between reality or fake. And you're doing things that are so close, like you're mimicking something that's real.
Yeah. You have to,
You know what I mean?
You have to be careful.
Yeah, so no, those are some of the little creepy stories that happen, paranormal stories that happened growing up. And I was always a scaredy cat, right? Always. I mean, because I don't know if it was like I was more like aware, but
well, you had some creepy things happen to you.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah. But I just,
But you know what's funny about everything you just mentioned is, they say that like obviously places can be haunted, but they also say it's not just the place, it's the person or the people.
Yeah.
And it sounds like maybe your family could have had something attached to them if they were experiencing it from house to house. And then your uncle who moved into a different house.
Yeah.
Because he lived in the other two houses as well.
Yes, he did.
So maybe it's, family really.
It might be. It could be. And I know.
I pray not. Obviously, I'm just saying,
And the weird thing is, like, no, it's too personal. But let's just say that, my uncle kind of got out of a marriage as well because things were not working out. And honestly, you never know. Like, what if it was like the house that like
that's true
was that drew them to because there's so many like negative feelings and but now he's like they're all happy, they all live in like beautiful
no
homes.
paranormal experiences.
No more.
That's
like
good.
they don't have anything.
So maybe it wasn't the family, maybe it was just the locations.
And then maybe it was just a time frame too. Maybe they had something attached but now that everybody's good, everybody's like
that's
no,
awesome.
but
That's
they always
hear.
talk. We always talk about that Omaha house.
That creepy house.
Yeah, that we always do. It just brings back too many weird memories,
That's wild. That's a good story. Those are good campfire stories.
Yeah, every time I talk about them, I'm just like, I wish I would have recorded it back then because I feel like now, when you tell a story, little details start to like. You start to lose some of the detail over time. So I could have, Farron, I'm sorry if I told the story wrong. I know it's, like, it's been so many years. Like, every time I hear it from Farrah, it's always different. At least I'm pretty consistent.
We'll have to do a part, because, this topic is just, it can go on forever. So we'll have to do a part 2 episode. Maybe we'll get them on the line.
Yeah.
And
maybe
get them to
they would totally
describe their own experience.
My cousin Farrah is very good at expressing like
I think that'd be
her
fun.
feelings. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
But no, we do a lot of traveling, and sometimes we get to pick the places we stay at, and sometimes we just go with the flow, right? And one time, do you remember we took a trip to where was it? I think it was in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And we stayed at an Airbnb.
That's such a funny story.
Ooh, we stayed at an Airbnb, guys.
It was so isolated from like other houses and neighborhoods. Like
but you
I remember
had to driving through the neighborhood.
That's what I'm saying. I remember driving to the house through
Suburbs.
like suburbs, but like they were like so spread out. Like there weren't like neighbors, you know what I mean? Like it was just like house here and then like a mile or two house here. So everything was just super like isolated from each other. And then driving up to that house,
so we pulled up.
I was like, oh, that's an interesting looking house, because you remember the front of it. It just had like a bunch of like large windows.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that house. It was
But do you remember what was across the street?
Yeah, a graveyard, a freaking cemetery. I was like, we have to stay next to the cemetery?
Yeah.
Like,
and my first reaction, I was like, oh, no, this is not good.
No.
This is not good for us.
No. I was like, who picked this place?
Who picked this Airbnb?
I need names. I need names from work. Who picked this place?
Why are we staying at an Airbnb next to a cemetery? Like,
It was a nice house, I will say that. Like the patio and like
I mean, it was geared for
like
a Airbnb style.
But even the backyard, because it wasn't just the front yard that had windows.
Yeah.
The front of the house.
Oh yeah.
The back of the house had nothing but windows.
And then when you look out, it's all like forest. Like,
it's all forest, and it's like pitch black out there.
But
next to a graveyard.
We were smart enough to, after I experienced another weird paranormal encounter, I saw a ghost there as well. I saw a dark shadow cut in front of me because I took a walk.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I was asking for it. I took a walk with my buddy. I think you were still like doing stuff in the house.
Yeah.
But we took a walk because we had just finished eating like a really big meal, and at
I
that
stayed
time,
back,
yeah, I was like very into like, hey, I gotta go at least get some physical activity because I don't want to like just let this food sit. So we went walking.
Yeah.
And as we were walking back up to the house, the cemetery was on my left side, and we're walking on this path, and I'm looking at the house, and I can see the house, and as we're walking, snow starts to drop, right? And then my friend, I don't know why, he happens to look down at his shoes. He looks down at his shoes while he's walking, and I'm walking, looking straight at the house, and out of nowhere, this black cape, like shadow thing, cuts right in front of my eyes, like not in front of my eyes, but like it cuts like maybe 4 feet in front of me, and I freak out. I'm like, whoa! My buddy was like, what? I'm like, you didn't see that? I was like, you did not see that. And he's like, no, I was looking at my shoes. And I go, why are you Of course. I was like, of course. Of course I would be the one to see it while you're looking at your shoes.
Because he was more skeptical about stuff like that too.
Yes.
So it's like, why did you see it and he didn't see it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I was shook. I remember that. I came back and I was like,
sleeping that night.
Yeah. But what did we do when we got back? And I told you guys that story.
God.
What did we do, Christian? What was the genius idea we had after I had just encountered a very terrible experience?
We decided to watch The Conjuring because we were like, why not?
And
nobody
the whole
had seen
time,
it before.
I was looking out those windows because
gosh.
how creepy is it that you can look out the windows and see all these dark woods, but you don't know if there's somebody looking back in.
Oh, for sure.
That's the whole creepiest
That's what I'm telling you. I remember not being able to sleep that night. I remember like after we watched the movie, everybody went to bed, and I went to my room and I was just like, how am I
had a hard time. I had a hard time. I think I didn't turn the lights off.
No.
Because I was so
And you slept
spooked.
with your window open that night. I remember the next day I was like, Anderson, did you sleep with your window open?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, it was really hot. I was
It was
like,
really hot.
No.
Yeah. And that was the next morning. We didn't even really sleep because we had to drive back to the airport, remember? And I was like,
we had like a 4 a.m. drive. Yeah. That was a rough night.
That was the second time I could say, like, I saw something with my own eyes. You know? It was weird. It was very weird. And again, you know, people listening might be like, "Yo, it's probably his eyes playing tricks on him," or But this thing wasn't from the peripheral. It wasn't like I thought I saw something, right? This was like in front of my face.
Yeah.
Like clear as day, but it was night.
Clear as kind of day.
Yeah. But note to self, do not stay at an Airbnb
in Kentucky
next to a cemetery. Or don't stay in an old hotel that has a history of like, I watched this lady on TikTok, this Congress lady. I think she was Congress or she was like some state representative. They put her in a hotel that was haunted, and she had no idea. It was one of the most haunted rooms in the entire facility.
On purpose?
No.
Oh, okay.
And she started having a lot of scary encounters. Like she couldn't stay in there. She called her client and she's like, "Can you pick me up? I cannot stay here."
Yeah, I would have done the same thing.
So, but no, I hope everybody enjoyed this episode.
I think it was fun.
This is
we could
like
talk
I
about
said,
it forever.
yeah, based off of like.
But we will do part 2, and we'll get the cousins on the phone.
Yeah, definitely.
And I want to hear some more stories.
Yeah, so. Tell them where they can support us. Or
all right,
visit
guys,
us.
go ahead and visit us at our socials. Our handle is enter ENTER, the number 1, and the word 11 ELEVEN. We're on IG, TikTok, Twitter, and share with us some of your experiences. We'd love to hear them. So,
and also if you want to donate or support our page, we also have a Patreon up as well. It's the same address. And we'll also, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can
find it in the description below.
We'll have a link for it just to support us any way you can,
Support the channel, support the cause.
Yeah. All righty. Well.
All right, guys. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Gucci.